Hello. So we're going to continue our tutorial. So last time we have learned what is cookie and how do we set and unset them, or how do we properly use them. So for today, I will be discussing the importance of storing the password properly. So we have discussed, or we have mentioned this on the previous lectures, that the way we handle our password is not the proper format. So for today's lecture, I will now discuss on how could we prevent or add security to our password. The problem with this one is, if a hacker or an unauthorized person could have access to our database, he or she could simply see our password. So for example, for jose@gmail.com, so it has the password here, and it is very easy to memorize or to understand. That's why this type of storing the password is not advisable. So for today's lecture, we will discuss some ways on how we could implement security to our password. Now, this is not the only way or a bulletproof solution. Okay, I'm just going to discuss or show to you little things that we could use to secure our password. So let's start. So first, let's create a new file. I'm going to name it as hash.php. Okay, so I'm going to type php. So there is a method in PHP which is called hashing, and it is using the function MD5. This is a function which is a one-way encryption. So let's demonstrate how. For example, our password is password. Save it. So in our recent activities, our password is saved as this one. For example, this one. Password, you type password as the password, it will be saved as this one. Very clear password, which has no security on it. So that is very dangerous. Now, adding the MD5, okay, adding the MD5 function or hashing function, we will obtain a level 1 security. So I'm going to show you what is the output of this MD5 applied to the password. So let's save it and open our localhost and click hash. So as you can see, the equivalent of our password is a series of characters. So it provided us a string. So this is MD5 encryption. It's a one-way encryption. For every string, such as password, it has an equivalent, which is this one. So this will be the format for password that will be saved on our database. So as I've mentioned earlier, it's only level 1. It's very simple. Why? Nowadays, we have websites such as crackstation.net, wherein uh, it can encrypt or decrypt your password. Okay? So I'm going to show you how. So I'm just going to copy this encrypted password and paste it on crackstation.net. When I paste it, then I'll click crack hashes. If you notice, the website has decrypt our password, and it also identify that it is type MD5, and the equivalent of our hash is actually the word password. So again, this method, level 1, is not secured. So if you notice, every time you log in or uh, create an email with a password, website asks you to provide a password with alphanumeric characters, with minimum of 6 characters, because that is the composition of a good password. So if I'm going to replace my password with the characteristics of a good password, for example, uh, letters, numbers, mixed with uppercase and lowercase. Okay, so if this will be my password and I'm going to save it, let's refresh. Okay, so MD5 has provided us a new hash. I'm going to copy this one, paste it again on the website, crackstation.net, and let's try if it can decrypt it. There. Crackstation.net cannot decrypt our password. What did we change? We just followed the characteristic of a strong password, which is it's a combination of uppercase and lowercase letters plus numbers, and others also include alphanumeric characters or special symbols. So if you are doing that one, you are doing the right way of creating password. As proven, it cannot be cracked by some websites. Now, let's proceed to level 2. Okay? Level 2 is actually using what we call salt. So we're going to use salt. What is a salt? A salt is just a series of alphanumeric characters, so there, that will be integrated to our password. So how do we do that? I am going to use a salt to strengthen my password. So I'll just concatenate this series of alphanumeric characters, which we call salt, and I will add it to our password. So let's save. Let's generate a new hash. Okay. So this is now a hash with salt. Let's try to check its security. There. And still applying salt gives us a good level of security. So the web page cannot decrypt our password. So this is now level 3. So, or no, this is level 2 actually. Level 2 security. The first one is uh, just simply an MD5 type password. Now, the problem is, what if the hacker will know what is the value of our salt? So again, if the hacker will know the value of our salt, it will just add the salt and the password. Then he can now decrypt our password. So that's why we will use level 3 security, which is we are going to give each user's password an or we will give each user's password a unique salt for their password. So this is the reason why in our tutorials, in our lectures, I am always telling you that I am practicing you to use uh, ID numbers as primary key because those IDs are very unique to each users. So instead of generating a general salt, we will use an individual salt for each user's password by using their ID. So for example, for user number 75, of course, his user ID is 75. So I will use his user ID as my salt. Okay, so how I am going to do that? Of course, I will first process his user ID. Okay, then I will concatenate it with his password. Save it. Okay, and let us generate his new password. Copy and paste it again to check if it could be cracked. So still, it cannot be cracked by some websites. So that will be our level 3 security. So meaning each user will have her or his own salt because we will use each user's ID which is unique to concatenate it with its password so that it will be more secured. So there we have it. You now learned a simple way of securing your password through hashing through the MD5 function of PHP. So now, for the next lecture, we are now ready to create our complete sign up and login form for our web pages.